The desire to become an FBI agent eventually became the reason that led me toward Islam. We had a family friend who had worked with the FBI before. One day I asked him, "I also want to become an FBI agent. What kind of education should I pursue?" He said, "Study Arabic and Persian." In my first year of college, I found myself enrolled as a student of Arabic. Around that time, while I was applying for different FBI positions, I received 2 internship opportunities. Later, I was even offered a job in intelligence analysis. While working with the FBI, there were things that were classified, some even top secret. But a few years later, I found myself standing at a completely different stage of life. Once I had worked for the FBI, and now I was standing in front of a grand jury. Before people knew me as Adnan, I was known as Adrian. I was born in 1988. My mother is American and my father is British. My journey toward Islam began during my first year of college. During that period, I spent about a year and a half studying Arabic in different parts of the Arab world in the Middle East. Later, I spent a few years in California, where 12 years ago I married my wife. For the last 10 years, we have been living in Providence, Rhode Island, where I serve as an imam and Muslim chaplain at Brown University. At the same time, I am also a PhD candidate at Harvard University. Before Islam, faith was already very important in my life. My family believed that we should become members of a church so that eventually I could also be baptized. Religion, belief, and Christianity were extremely important to me. As I grew older, my connection with the church became very strong. By the last year of high school, I was even giving sermons on Youth Sunday and participating in many church activities. But during those years, I started noticing certain things in the church and in Christianity that troubled me. There were aspects I simply could not understand. Still, one thing was clear to me. I needed a relationship with God. I needed faith. I told myself that maybe Christianity and the church were the best I could find. After all, I'm a limited human being with a limited mind. Perhaps this is the best path available to me. One of the things that confused me was the huge difference between denominations. Different groups had completely different beliefs and methods of worship. Another thing I noticed was how easily the style of worship could change. When a temporary priest came for just 1 year, he changed the entire format of worship. And I remember thinking, how can the way we worship God change simply because one person decides it should? My journey toward Islam actually began much earlier, back in 8th grade. We took a career aspiration test, and my highest score was in law enforcement. I thought I could become a police officer, but if I wanted to reach the highest level, that would be the FBI. From that moment on, I knew that I wanted to join the FBI. Our family friend who had worked as an intelligence operative told me something surprising. He said, "Don't study criminology or psychology, study Arabic and Persian. Right now, the FBI needs people who speak those languages." That advice eventually led me to Dartmouth College, where I started studying Arabic. One of the course requirements was a class about Arab culture. During that class, we watched a documentary called Islam, Empire of Faith. And in that documentary, for the first time in my life, I heard the Adhan. Something about that sound stayed with me. For days, maybe even weeks, as I walked through the snowy streets of New Hampshire, it felt as if the echo of that call was everywhere around me, and inside me too. It felt like I was being called towards something. That moment started my journey of researching Islam. At first, I told myself, let me just understand this better. Then I would think, that actually makes sense. Sometimes I would think, this is exactly what I've been searching for my whole life. But at that time, I still believed I was simply becoming a better Christian. One day, I walked into the Muslim Students Association room on campus and picked up a small booklet explaining how to pray. It described the steps of prayer, the positions, and the supplications. As I read it, something inside me felt deeply familiar, as if I had finally found what I had been searching for my entire life. During spring break, we went on a mission trip to help people affected by Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. Whenever I had a chance, I would ask the program leaders, "Do you know which direction east is? I want to find the Qibla so I can pray." They looked at me strangely, wondering exactly what I was doing. This was about 2 months before I officially accepted Islam. When I prayed during that time, even though I was still a Christian, it felt like the small boy inside me who had always been searching for answers had finally found them. Prayer connected me directly with my Creator. Standing in rows, bowing, prostrating, it was a completely unique experience for me. After one prayer, I sat quietly in that small prayer room on campus and began thinking. I realized something. Most of my beliefs now came from Islam. The practices I valued most were Islamic. The understanding of God that made the most sense to me was Islamic. And I thought to myself, maybe that means I'm already a Muslim. So I went to the Imam and said, "I want to become Muslim. I want to say the Shahada." People sometimes ask me why I left Christianity, but honestly, I never felt like I abandoned it. I was simply trying to become a better follower of Jesus. Then I realized something profound. A true follower of Jesus is actually a Muslim, someone who submits to God. When I learned that Jesus himself called people to submit to God, it changed everything for me. Most religions are named after people or nations. Christianity after Christ, Buddhism after Buddha, Judaism after the tribe of Judah. But Islam is different. Islam means submission to God, and that concept belongs to everyone. My mother needed a few months to accept my decision. I remember calling her the day I took my Shahada. I said, "Mom, I need to tell you something. I became Muslim." She paused and said, "Oh, I have to go right now. We'll talk later." It took time, but eventually she understood. Ironically, the dream of becoming an FBI agent was what led me to Islam. Learning Arabic introduced me to Islam, and learning about Islam changed my life. I completed internships with the FBI and even received top-secret clearance. They investigated my entire background, interviewed people who knew me, and I even had to take a polygraph test. Eventually, I was offered a job as an intelligence analyst. My career path was clear. By age 26, I could apply to become a special agent. But slowly, I began to realize something uncomfortable. The same system that claimed to protect people could also harm communities, especially minority communities. And I realized I couldn't live between two worlds anymore. One day, I was sitting in the living room of the man who would later become my father-in-law. He was a kind and warm Afghan man. We were talking about my dreams and my future. Suddenly, he became serious and said something that changed everything. He said, "Maybe the FBI needs Muslims like you, but I don't think a Muslim like that should be the husband of my daughter." In that moment, I knew he was right. I had two choices: a career I dreamed about for years, or a life dedicated to faith, family, and serving the Muslim community. I chose the second path. Instead of continuing that career, I dedicated my life to studying Islam, the Qur'an, theology, jurisprudence, and spirituality. Eventually, I became an imam and Muslim chaplain at Brown University. Years later, I found myself in another unexpected situation, standing in front of a grand jury. Life had come full circle. About 10 years after I accepted Islam, something beautiful happened. My grandmother, who was suffering from dementia, once noticed that I would go upstairs during family visits. She asked me, "I want to do what you do upstairs." Then I realized she meant prayer. I asked, "Would you like to pray with me?" And she prayed behind me. Later, I explained Islam to her, the belief in one God and the message of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She listened with sincerity and immediately accepted it. She said the Shahada right there. One of the things that affected me most about the Prophet Muhammad was learning about his life in such detail. Every moment of it reflected integrity, wisdom, and mercy. For someone like me who always tried to be perfect and was upset by my own mistakes, studying his life became a source of healing. And when I first heard the Qur'an,
I knew something instantly. This could not be the words of a human being. Its sound, its rhythm, its simplicity, it was unlike anything I had ever heard. That was the moment I realized this is the truth.